Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Daughter of Increase. My name is Nathan. For those of you who are new to the channel or who just happen to stumble across this video, I am the founder and CEO of DOI Ministries, that is Daughter of Increase Ministries. And here on this channel, I help you increase in your faith and relationship with God and Christ through Bible studies, book reviews, discussions, and more. And so I am back in the same outfit. Yes. And I'm here to do my wrap up from February as well as my TBR for March. So if you want to see either one of those, timestamps are down below for both, so you guys can skip ahead or whatever the case may be. But we are going to first start off with my wrap up, okay? And so quickly, let me just flip to, if you guys see a screen, that is because I am looking at my my sheet that has all of the books that I read and when I rated it, just in case I forget anything. But yeah, so we're gonna go, I guess, in order of reading. I guess I can do that, right? And so the first book I want to share with you guys is one I'm finally done with. I think I started this last year. Don't know what took me so long. Actually, I do know what took me so long. So let me just brief you guys. So for the month of February, I read 22 books. 22 books for the month of February, which, can we just round of applause? This is what I'm used to, right? And so you guys know I don't want to really keep talking about this, but I'm just going to briefly explain it because I have to. So back in April, something happened. You guys who know, those of you who know. If you don't know, then go back to like April videos if you want to know. I think I posted like a whole separate video on what happened. And since April of last year, my reading was crap. And I apologize if crap offends anybody, but it was crap. I did not read books like I used to. I was maybe reading 1 book, 2 books, no books, 5 books. And for some people, that's great. But for me, I am typically the type of person that can read anywhere from 150 books to 200 books. And if I can find a screenshot, I'll put the screenshot here of like how my reading has gone from 2013 till now. You guys can see the numbers, right? I read a lot, right? And not meaning like comic books, I mean like physical books, like thick books, right? I read books. And to not have read as much from April until January was a bummer. I read 1 book in January and forgot that I read it, and it was a poetry book. And so there's nothing wrong with poetry books and comics and mangas, nothing wrong with that. But for me, I typically read a lot of thick books, right? And so to have not read in such a long time, but to finally now get back into my usual numbers, I typically read anywhere from 10 to 25 books a month, right? Depending on what I'm doing, what I'm planning, what I'm not doing, what I'm not planning, and things like that. And so I hadn't been in the mood to read with everything going on top of the physical things that were going on with my body, right? And so I will say I am ecstatic to have read 22 books. Now, granted, some of those were like really short stories, because I was like, you know what, I need to at least force myself to get back into that. And I know hearing me say force myself might sound like harsh to some people, but again, for someone like me who is typically reading 3 books a day, to having read no books at all in a month, yeah, so to have read 22 books is amazing. And of these books, I maybe read 6 or 7 short stories, right? And so that is a huge thing for me personally. So for me, I congratulate myself on getting back to reading the way that I used to read, right? And so I've been reading this book for, I don't know how long I've been reading this. I've been reading this book for a very long time. I'm trying to find it on my list, and I can't find it on my list. Why is that? Oh, here it is. I've been reading this book for a long time, but I only made it to chapter 4, and so I opted that reading chapter 5 to the end of this book I would do, and I did it in a day. Of course, with the ebook. I mean, with the audiobook, right? I got the audiobook from my library, but that is Relationship Goals by Pastor Michael Todd. This book, I gave it a 4.5 star rating. I don't have tabs in this book at all, right? But let me see if I can show you guys. I have like highlighted and marked up. The first half of the book is a lot more marked up and annotated than the middle half, but let's see. Yeah, now we can get, you see, right? That's because I was just trying to read through it. This is definitely a book I could see me rereading, and I got so many helpful tips out of this book, and it helped me to make sense of what happened in April and why it needed to happen. And though it happened the way it happened, harsh, right? but it really helped me to see things in a new light with a new understanding. And his tips were pretty much good. The reason why I couldn't give it a 5 stars is because I felt like he was just trying to be a little too down. Like a little too down. Like, this is definitely a book I could see as timeless, because no matter how old you are, no matter what year it is, whether you're young or mature, reading this book is definitely going to connect with you. But I felt like he was really trying to connect more to a younger audience, because I'm 30, and reading this, I was like, all right, Michael, you're doing too much. You're talking a little too hood. You're talking a little too something, right? But I enjoyed it. So that's really the only reason why I couldn't give it the full 5 stars. And it could be because I read the audiobook too. The audio narrator was absolutely phenomenal, stunning, right? But even when he was reading what Michael wrote, it was kind of weird. So that's why I didn't give it a 5 star. I mean, is it a 5 star? Sorry if you guys heard that. But yes, it's a 5 star read, but I gave it a 4.5 because listening to the audiobook with Michael trying to be down in his writing, just, it was like, all right, stop. But I absolutely enjoyed this. I loved it. It's great if you're married, if you're single, if you're engaged, you know, if you're divorced, whatever the case, whatever sort of phase, I guess, in relationship or season in relationship you are in, this is great. So yeah, I enjoyed this, and I cannot wait to read Crazy Faith. I'm going to actually finish the sermon series he did first before I read that, because I did read I did watch the entire Relationship Goals series, and so reading this was great. And I think he said that this was opted for either a movie or a TV show, can't really remember, but I can't wait for that to come out when it does. So yes, to Michael Todd, this was actually really excellent and great. And the hype, I understand the hype. This was actually really good. So I enjoyed this. Next, I read this book, which is The Prophetess by Eileen Smith, and I gave this book a 4.5 star rating. This is the story of Deborah, the prophetess. It is in Judges 4 and 5, I think 4 and 5 or 5 and 6. One of those two. It'll be on the screen. I enjoyed it. I will say, first of all, this was a buddy read with my sister Stephanie. I'll leave her Instagram down below. She used to be Quilting Beauty and Books here on YouTube. She's no longer on YouTube. I'm not sure if her channel is still up with her videos, but if it is, click the eye. But yeah, I gave this a 4.5 star rating. I think Steph gave it a 5. The reason why I couldn't give it a full 5 is because it's not 100% memorable, right? And for me, a 5-star book is something that is going to be completely memorable. Like the next book I show you guys was memorable to me, and I still remember it to this day, right? I enjoyed this. However, I couldn't stand Deborah. I couldn't, because she had such a nasty attitude. And then her daughter Talia, whatever her name is, pissed me off. Now, her husband, Deborah's husband, Lapidov, he is such a gem. He is such a gem. That's all I can say. Barak was amazing. I love this so much because of Jael. If you guys don't know, I am really a big fan of Jael. Even though she has such a small part in the Bible, basically she is the one that killed Sisera, and she killed Sisera in the most wholesome yet dramatic way ever. And basically she gave Sisera a nice warm cup of milk, let him go to sleep, picked up a peg and hammered it into his head. I don't remember if it was his head or his eye. Gruesome, yes, I know. Gruesome as ever. But the reason why I say it's so wholesome is because you don't really find many stories of people dying in such a sweet way. And I know that sounds crazy because the way she killed them was crazy. But I also like that she used what she had available, right? She picked up a peg, right? The peg is the thing that they use for the tent, and a hammer. And her husband was even there, right? And so getting her story was amazing. The romances in here were, it was alright. It was okay. But I also like Barak, his story with letting go of his dead wife. Yeah, this was good. I gave it a 4.5 star rating. Not 100% memorable, but it was really good. I enjoyed it. And so The Prophetess, I definitely would recommend. And I don't know, there's something about Jill's writing that I get absorbed in it. I really love it, but it's not like a 5 star. I give most of her books a 4 or 4.5 star rating. I think only 1 or 2 of her books got a 5. Star of Persia, which is her retelling of Esther, done so well. And I think the other one was on Miriam. No, I don't think I read Miriam's song. I did not read Miriam's song. I thought I did, but no, I read another book on Miriam. That was one's by Misu Andrews. I haven't read Miriam's song yet, I don't think, so I need to read that. But this was good. The next book I read was In the Search of a Prince by Toni Shiloh. 5 star. I gush. So if you guys saw my January February book haul, I talked about this book in that video, so click the eye to go to that video, because I think that video is going to be up before this video. This was everything. As a black woman, I stand behind this book 100%, and I am so excited to read more of Toni Shiloh, right? I've heard of Toni Shiloh, never read her books. So that Bethany was coming out with this, said, you know, let's give it a try. It was a part of their request. They sent out 2 requests for February for Black History Month, and so the other book was supposed to come. It was on back printing or something like that, and so it had not been sent out yet. So that one is coming out, but it's a nonfiction, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Carved in Ebony. But this, whew, I gushed over the romance. I loved the family drama. I enjoyed the atmospheric writing. Her writing is so lyrical and beautiful, and the faith aspects in this were strong. The relationships, be it platonic or familial or friendship wise, all strong, solid relationships. Like, this made me want to rethink my own prayer life. Let's just say that, because the prayers up in here, they were strong. I think I marked quite a few of the prayers. There's a prayer here. A lot of the purple isn't really scripture, is a lot more prayers. Here's another prayer. Like, the main character, Brielle. Okay, so basically, fast forward, okay? I mean, rewind. I'm hyped. I'm trying not to be too hyped because you guys know about my back situation, right? That's why I'm sitting a little weird. But so Brielle basically works as a teacher in New York City, and then one day she finds out that she's actually a princess to a island in the coast of Africa, and she must go and claim her role as queen, right? And so she gets there, she meets her grandfather. Grandfather's dying, mind you, and I'm not gonna tell you what he's dying from and how, but it is explained in the story. I think in the first, actually in the intro, yeah, in the prologue, it tells you what's going on. So the prologue really gives you about the grandfather, and from there it unravels when she arrives in Africa, and it is so just, so I looked, after I made my book haul, I actually looked to see if I did a reading vlog on this, and I did not. I think I talked about it in a video. But I did not do a reading vlog. So I'm definitely gonna have to do a reading vlog on this, because this was everything, you guys. This was perfection in its finest. I mean, this is pro-black all the way. And I know you guys, some of you probably are like, well, why is she talking about pro-black? The reason why I'm saying that is because you don't find many mainstream publishing companies, especially a Christian-based one, right, publishing books with an all-black cast. That is really unheard of. Even in like regular fiction books, it is unheard of. Sorry about that. My sister needed me to send her vaccine card for school, so I had to go take a photo of that and send it. But yeah, it is really unheard of, because most of the time you have a black main character, but then the secondary character or side characters are not black, right? And so for me, this was everything and more, and I am definitely going to be reading more from Toni Shiloh, and I hope that more black authors are able to get their stories out there through the Christian publishing companies, and aren't just going to be indie companies, right? Including other cultures. Like, I would love to see an all Asian, right, cast Christian romance story. I would love to see something set in, you know, other countries and stuff like that. So this, for me, 5 stars, solid. As you can see, it's a memorable read for me. Definitely my top tier, one of my favorites for 2022, hands down. And yeah, we have that. And so moving on, the next one is going to be Defending Ittai from Miss Barbara M. Britton. This is the 4th book in the Tribes of Israel series. I have read all of her books. Quickly, I had to go to my playlist, but this one I enjoyed. I gave it a 4.5 star rating. I couldn't give it a full 5 because I felt like the romance was not okay. So the way I mentioned it in my, I think it was a reading vlog I did, I mentioned how it wasn't that the romance was rushed, but it was hard to really, it's like I said, it's hard to really explain, because you could tell from the start, the first time that they met. Sorry, my sister had texted me again about her vaccine. But yeah, when they met, you could tell that there was like a romance brewing, but it was kind of like the romance was really like minimal. So yeah, the romance for me was kind of like, it wasn't a miss, but it wasn't also a hit. It was like a meh, in between. But I did like seeing them two together, Ittai and, oh, what was her name? Jesus? Ramona. I really enjoyed David in this story. I thought David was amazing. I could not stand David's nephews, Abishai and Joab, and I could not stand his son Absalom for reasons. Basically, this follows 2 Samuel chapters 15 to 19, which I did read through, and she really stuck really close to the scripture and then added fiction around it. And so this was phenomenal. I gave it a 4.5 star rating, right? And so the last book I read was The Prince and the Prodigal by Miss Jo Eileen Smith, and I gave this a 4.5 star rating as well. This book is memorable in its own way, that it frustrated and angered me. You see the tabs. Take a moment to admire all the tabs, right? You see a lot of red tabs, a lot of red, a lot of green, some blue. This book will frustrate you. This book will make you angry. This book will make you sad. This book will make you cry. It will make you want to fling it. I tried not so hard to fling this book a couple of times. I felt so bad for Joseph. So this is the story of Joseph and his brother Judah. So Joseph obviously being the prince, Judah being the prodigal. So it does take parts of the prodigal son story and kind of flips it around to fit Judah, which I enjoyed. But yeah, I've read obviously the story of Joseph, of course, in the Bible in Genesis, and it's a heartbreaking story, of course. But to see it in biblical fiction format, it gave me a whole level of frustration that I didn't even know existed. Yeah, his brother's trash. His father, petty. Yeah, the story with Dinah, I enjoyed Dinah because she was, of course, in this as well. I really love that. Zilpah and Bilhah are mentioned in this story, but not so much. They're mentioned, but not featured, if that makes sense. Like, their sons are even featured, but not really. They don't really have much talking parts in here. It's pretty much Leah's sons versus Joseph and his little brother Benjamin, which was frustrating to say the least, because Leah was real petty. And like, I understand why Leah's sons acted the way they acted, because when you see your mom hurting, right, and this is me as a child speaking, when I see my mom hurting, I then become frustrated with the person who was causing the hurt, right? But I don't lash out at the children, right? And so to see that Leah's sons were hurting because she was hurting, but that they lashed out at their brother over their father's mistakes, oh, it frustrated me to no end. But I did enjoy the story nonetheless. So this is another 4.5 star rating for me. So we have those books. I read 4 biblical fictions, right? And then my nonfiction for the month. So that's 5 books, which I'm trying to stick to 5 books a month, at least 4 to 5 books a month when it comes to Christian-based books, because I do read obviously like 10, 20 non-Christian books, right? And so I will be reading, I think, 12 non-Christian books this month. And so yeah, these are the books that I read for the month of February. Great reading month. Obviously we have a 5-star, and the rest of these were 4.5 star ratings. Interesting. So yeah, a great month. And so now we're gonna move on to my March TBR. And March TBR is not that hard at all. So let me just go back a bit, make sure I'm on track, because I have all my information written out on my Notion. I have everything written on Notion, so let me just scroll down. Okay, so I'm going to start out with the nonfiction books I'm going to be reading first. And so I have 3 nonfictions. 2 of these definitely going to be reading. I think this third one is going to be one I'm going to be reading for a minute, because I'm going to take it in pieces because of what it talks about. And so these 2 are really short reads. This first one is 76 pages. This next one is a total of, 103 pages. And so they're short reads. This first one is one that I actually wanted to give away from Ashton when she had her I think it was December when she did her spiritual boot camp, and I actually won this, I think, for week 2 or week 3, I can't remember. But it's Beauty in the Struggle, Finding Your Faith in Testing Times by Morgan Randall. She's actually married now. Her last name starts with an M. I'm not gonna attempt to pronounce it, so it's on the screen. This is her name now. But this is her story, and yeah, I absolutely enjoyed listening to her. She was also a part of the boot camp, and she did a talk with Ashton, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And so I am excited to read this. Oh wait, I didn't even know. So you guys, this whole time I did not know it was actually signed. Okay, that's okay. So it says, I pray this book reminds you that the best relationship to have is one with God. I pray this book encourages you to keep giving in your faith. It's not over. To keep going in your faith. It's not over. With love, Mrs. McKell, I think that's how you say her name. Again, I'm not gonna say, I don't want to say it wrong, but yeah, I'm gonna be reading this. It seems really good, and it seems like a book I should be reading right now with everything that I'm going through. And this book is interactive in that there are things for you to do. So she asks questions, there's prayers that you can do. You know, she gives you a practical application and a prayer. And so I like that there are books like that. And because after each chapter she skips a page, there's like blank space that I can actually write in the book, but I'll probably put it on a sticky note. So we have that book. And then I have Faith, From Almost Impossible to Hopeful by Miss Everetta Harper, which actually was my youth pastor back when I was younger. She is now just a pastor. She's not a youth pastor per se anymore. She's a pastor. She actually doesn't live too far from my house. She's about 10 minutes from me. She did sign my book for me when I saw her. I bought her book maybe 2 weeks before me and her and my mom and her mom went out. And I know that this talks about the loss of her husband, Deacon Harper, which was like a dad to me. He was a spiritual dad to me. And then she actually recently just lost her mom. That was the woman I talked about in if you guys saw my Daily Grace Cole Haul part 5, I talked about how I lost 2 women, one from my church and then another one prior to that. That was her mom. And yeah, so I know that this is definitely one that I need to read as soon as possible. I didn't read her note though that she wrote, so oh, but yeah, I love her to death. And so I will be actually speaking with her a lot more about the sort of business side of you know, being a pastor and things like that, just for advice and stuff like that. So we have this, and this book is 103 pages, and I love that she used faith as an acronym. That is amazing. And so we have that book. And the third and final Christian nonfiction book that I want to read is The Ministry of Branding. This is a biblical approach to brand building. This is by Mike Martin. And actually this was mentioned to me by the previous youth pastor of my church prior to him leaving. And yeah, I thought that this was going to be amazing, not just to help me with branding for the church, but also for branding for my ministries, DOI and DOG, and in general with any business that I do, such as Mercy and stuff like that. And so this is all about branding from a biblical standpoint, and I am excited. And so it talks about understanding your brand, learning the biblical branding, deploying the brand process, establishing a brand mission and vision, designing your brand identity, giving your brand a voice, maintaining consistency, avoiding imitation branding, using branding tools, launching a brand, and then monitoring your brand, and so much more. So it talks about auditing, it talks about brand trust, it talks about logos and support, colors and typography and pictures that convey, defining your vision, defining your mission, and communicating it and things like that. Existing cultures and culture in a movement. Like, it goes into depth of branding from a Christian biblical standpoint, which I definitely want to utilize, because me as myself, I am a brand, right? Nay Denise is technically a brand, and then I have several other brands underneath, which would be DOG, DOI, right? I'm a part of my ministry's brand, and so we want to fix that up. And so I definitely want to take my time reading this book. I could read it in one setting, but I want to take my time and utilize everything. This book is 166 pages, and so I've had it for about over a year. It's time for me to do that, right? And so this includes a foreword by Dr. Matthew L. Stevenson III, which is, I believe, he's a part of All Nation Worship Assembly. I think the author is as well. So I hope you guys hear all that in the background. But there's a car outside. Yeah, so he's worked with Chicago Housing Authority and All Nation Worship Assembly. And he's actually the executive pastor and chief operating officer. Interesting. So yeah, I'm excited to dive into that. So we have that, right? And then I just have 4 books on my list for Christian fiction to read, right? 2 biblical fiction, and then I have 2 that are gonna be Christian fiction books, right? So the Christian fiction books that I have are gonna be The White City by Grace Hithcock. I really want to dive into this. This is historical fiction. It says romance on here, so historical fiction romance, and basically it's a part of the True Color series, the first book in the series. And I talked about the series before on my channel, and if you guys have seen my 22 books that I want to read in 2022 that are Christian related, then click the I for that video if you haven't seen it or if you want to refresh. Basically, I took books from that list to read. So all these books were actually on that list, and I want to make sure that I'm getting through these books. And so this is the first book in the True Colors, which is Historical Stories of American Crime. So it says fiction based on strange but true history. This one is following the mysterious disappearances that taint the Chicago World's Fair, set in 1893. And the main character's name is Winifred Wow, and she basically believes she witnessed a woman being kidnapped. She tells her father, who's an inspector with the Chicago police. He doesn't really look into it, and so she takes it upon herself to go ahead and do that with Detective Jude Throop. I can't pronounce it, but he becomes her bodyguard, and basically it's whether she exposes H.H. Holmes' illicit activities or if she becomes his next victim. And so I'm excited to read this and actually dive into the whole entire series. I really want to get into those sort of true crime kind of fictionalized stories, and I have high hopes, hoping to give this at least a 4, but we'll see. But we have that. The next book is a fantasy, of course, and it's The Shock of Night by Patrick W. Carr. I want to read more of his books because I read his first biblical fiction novel. It was okay. I think I give it a 4-star because I felt like it was a little too rushed toward the end. And so this is a chunker. This is a chunky monkey. She thick. She almost 500 pages. So I probably shouldn't have picked this one for this month. I probably shouldn't have. She almost 500 pages. She passed 450. But yeah, it's the first book in the Darkwater saga that he wrote, and I want to read some more books like this. And so it says Darkwater claims all who enter it, all but one. And so his name is Willick Dort. He's a reed to the king of Bunard. And he basically goes to question a dying priest, but then the priest ends up speaking in a foreign tongue and then dies without another word. And so he returns to his task, but the clues to the crime lead to contradictions and questions without answers. And basically he has this gift now given from this dying priest that is basically a rare one. It's the rarest gift of all and one that shouldn't exist. And so now Willard is pursuing the murderer that is still on the loose, but he's also pulled into a dangerous conflict that threatens not only the city but the entire world. And so yeah, I'm interested to see what faith aspects I see in this, if there's scripture involved in this or not, because this is considered fantasy, Christian fantasy, and it is published by Bethany. If you guys can see, can I get that to focus? It is published by Bethany, so we'll see. So we have that. Last 2 books are by Angela Hunt. I put that I want to read the rest of her Silent Year series. I read the second book in that series, which was Judah's Wife. I gave it a 4 stars, and so I only had to read books 1, 3, and 4. Book 1 is Egypt's Sister. This one is the novel of Cleopatra, so we want to read this. And then I have book 3, which is Jerusalem's Queen, which is the novel of Salome Alexandria. So we have these 2 books that I definitely want to read. The 4th book is Herod's Court, I think. Or the King's Shadow, which is about King Herod's court. And if I can throw that into this month, I will, as a 5th book. But if I can't, no problem. I'll just finish it off in March, because I do want to read her next series, because book 4 in that series is going to be coming out, and I think it's called Jerusalem Road. I think it's called Jerusalem's Road, and the 4th book is coming out, and I own all 3 books already through getting them either from the Delilah box or from the publishing companies. And so yeah, we have these 2 books. Definitely this is going to be on one of my book look tutorials, but yeah, we have these 2 books. So I guess I could give you a quick brief what it says on the back. It says, "You don't know her name, the world remembers only her greatest friend, Cleopatra." And so we have Chaba, who is a Hebrew daughter of the royal tutor, in Uribai, which is an Egyptian princess, and then Uribai unexpectedly ascends the throne as Queen Cleopatra, and then Chaba believes that their bond is strong, but absolute power has a way of changing everything. And so there's betrayal, there's Roman society, there's love and honor, there's desires and God's will. And so yeah, this is going to be interesting to read. And then then Jerusalem's Queen talks about so we have born in a small village of Modian, a place made famous by the warrior Maccabees, Salome Alexandria knows better than to harbor grand dreams for her future. She pales in comparison to her beautiful older sister, and though she learns to read at an early age, girls are not valued for their intellectual ability. However, when her father and sister are killed, John Hyrenkis, I can't say these names, but a distant relative invites Salome and her mother to live with his family in Jerusalem, where her thirst for knowledge is noticed and indulged. When her guardian betroths her to a pagan prince, she questions Hashem's plan. When Hyrcanus is what I'm going to say, finally marries her to a boy half her age, she questions her guardian's sanity. Though Salome Alexandra spends much of her life as a pawn ordered about by powerful men, she learns that a woman committed to Hashem, which would be God, can change the world. And so I'm excited for that. And so these are the books, the 4 Christian fiction books, 2 biblical fiction, a fantasy, and a historical. And then we have the 3 non-fictions that I want to read. And so that is it for my February wrap up and my March TBR. Again, all the timestamps are down below. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books. I'm definitely intrigued to see what you have read and what your thoughts were. But yeah, that is it. So I'm gonna go. If you made it to the end of the video, post this emoji. I know I never know what emoji I'm gonna talk about, so I just say post this one, and put it in the comments if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Want to see a reading vlog for any of these, let me know. And I think I'll get back to you guys in another video really soon. It will so my teaching videos were supposed to start in March. Y'all know the situation we're back, right? And so that has to now be pushed back to April. But I'm also doing different things because a lot of you guys have asked to see the teachings that I've actually taught with my church, and I actually have to work on another teaching lesson plan that I have to do for my church on tithing and stuff like that. And so I know you guys are interested in the self-care one that I taught. You guys are also interested in the gifts of the the 9 gifts of the Spirit. You also are interested in, and I think there was another one that you guys wanted to see, and so I'm going to be teaching on those. I know you guys are waiting on my actual like Bible study videos where I'm going verse by verse in a book of the Bible. Those are coming, but again, I have no control over what's been going on in my life. It's been crazy. You guys can see it's been crazy, and I'm still trying to push as best as I can. So thank you guys for just bearing with me. Thank you guys for all the new subscribers. The giveaway. So I have a bunch of books literally just sitting in I have a bag with books sitting in the corner. Those giveaways are coming. When? I don't know. I'll keep you guys posted. Because I recorded the video, right? And I hated the quality of the video because I had nothing written down. I'm gonna actually show you guys here a snippet. You guys can see I did both the videos. They look a mess. I don't want to edit those videos. I just want to redo those videos and write down all of my thoughts that I needed to write down for that video. And so that video will be redone. So I did record this video last year, I think. If it was either December or January, I recorded this video and it's supposed to go up and never went up. I apologize, but yeah, those are coming. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys for rating, commenting, subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.